It's truly an amazing time in Romania. I would call it an energy revolution. We have been blessed, and it's nobody's merit, certainly not mine, with a great energy mix with access to very diverse resources. I talked a lot about today on nuclear, but also hydro, and the head of Hidroelectrica, Mr. Bada, is here. Geothermal, I see my friend Claudiu Crețu, and hopefully the energy revolution will include the district heating system of Bucharest, which has the potential to be green. It has the potential to use geothermal. And by the way, the US is very supportive of that effort, and we thank you very much. And so we are truly at the forefront, I think, of this effort regionally in the context of 3Cs and more globally. It's not just about living on a greener planet. We all want that. And we heard from Secretary Kerry at the event that I just came from, and he explained this idea of a tipping point, and nobody knows if we've tipped yet or not. But certainly the global effort to stop climate change, or at least mitigate its effects, is well worth the efforts of this generation. It's also about reconstructing Ukraine, rebuilding Ukraine. The world will have essentially two options for rebuilding Ukraine, Poland and Romania. Its immediate neighbors. And depending on the area of Ukraine that you will target, companies, industries, funding will choose either Poland or Romania. For that effort, we will need a lot of energy, and we will need a lot of industry that we no longer have, or we have a lot less than before. Construction materials, fertilizers, all these are very much energy intensive. And so in that effort, what you do here today and going forward is absolutely critical. And to that, we add very ambitious projects by our state-owned companies, majority state-owned. Of course, Nuclear Electrica, but Hidroelectrica, Electrica, and I see Mr. Chiriță there. And of course, Romgaz. We will be, in 2027, Europe's largest natural gas producer, thanks to a very complex investment, complex in many ways. It's 4 billion euros. It's also in a region that some would consider quite hectic in the Black Sea. And it will be a direct replacement of Russian gas. So we can expect Russia to not sit quietly and witness how we develop this platform. So I made the same call this morning at the Atlantic Council's event, and the General is the best man to talk about this. Indeed, we need everybody's effort to make sure that this investment happens. It happens in a secure way, and it happens on time. So I could see no better time for coming together and identifying financing resources. I will tell you very briefly what we hope to do at the Energy Ministry. Possibly the most important news today is that we're very advanced with our contracts for difference scheme. That's a state aid scheme that essentially fixes a strike price for 15 years for investors in solar and wind, and at some point nuclear and hopefully geothermal and other sources of energy. But we'll start with solar and wind, 1 gigawatt each. We will have the tender, I hope, by the end of this year. That will really ensure that investors in serious projects have that stability over a long horizon in the context of an energy market that's still quite unpredictable. And so we hope to see a lot of involvement in those auctions. I hope to see many of the companies that essentially are under the authority of the ministry participate in that auction. So I challenge Hidroelectrica, Nuclear Electrica, Electrica, Romgaz, along with all the private sector players to come and ensure a competitive process that will deliver in the next few years at least 2 gigawatts of additional green energy for Romania. So please stay tuned. By the end of this year, we should close that up and sign these contracts. That's a milestone in the recovery and resilience plan. So we have every intention to stick to it. In addition, we do have a lot of money available, and that should only galvanize further private investment. Just in the Recovery and Resilience Facility, it's 1.6 billion euros, plus the Modernization Fund and our friends at the EIB. I won't single them out, but they're good friends of Romania. That's another close to 16 billion euros. So I think it's really the biggest development opportunity for the country sitting under one single ministry. And what we've tried over the past few months is to accelerate. And essentially, we've already begun signing contracts for investments in solar. We've signed contracts under the Modernization Fund for upgrading our grid with Electrica, with the distributors. And one last thought from my end, please also focus your efforts on storage. It is perhaps the biggest need of our energy system today. I don't see a problem in increasing the share of green energy. There's a lot of movement in the market. You see it every day. And I'm not talking about real estate investors. I'm talking about energy investors that are serious on delivering these projects and actually building them out. But we can do all that and not have secure energy. We'll have green energy. We'll probably have cheaper energy, but we won't have secure energy. And I think that should be the main priority, at least for this ministry and for this country. So explore storage. There's storage through batteries, obviously, and we've had very good discussions with the American partners on American technologies that could be brought here, as well as storage through pumped storage and hydro. And we have recently, if you've followed, relaunched the most important pumped storage in the country, called Tarnița Lăpuștești, up to 1 gigawatt, 4 turbines next to Cluj, absolutely critical for ensuring the security of the system. And last but not least, I said it this morning, I want to say it today. We will invest billions into new production facilities, solar and wind. Unfortunately, we have to import all that from our friends in China, which is not always a good idea because you depend on that technology, you deepen the commercial deficit, the trade deficit, and you waste a huge opportunity to use what you produce in this country. And this country still has cheap labor, relatively cheap labor. It has an industrial tradition, and it just needs that extra push, that extra effort to have local production of solar panels and components, windmills, and so on and so forth. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for bearing with me. I will quietly exit the room because I have to meet Mr. Prime Minister and Mr. Kerry in the government. But I'll be with you for the next few minutes, and I look forward to listening to General Jones. Thank you very much.